Keanu Reeves was having an ordinary day. Well, as ordinary as a day could be for someone used to movie sets and Hollywood glamour. He had decided to take a road trip to clear his mind, escape the noise, and just enjoy the simplicity of the open road. The sky was clear, the sun was shining, and the highway stretched endlessly before him. His car, a modest, older sedan he'd chosen for its reliability, hummed along smoothly as Keanu drove through rolling hills dotted with wildflowers. The radio played a mellow tune, and for once, the world felt uncomplicated. That was, until the engine sputtered, coughed, and then fell silent. Keanu glanced at the dashboard. No warning lights, just dead silence. The car coasted to a stop on the shoulder of a quiet country road, surrounded by nothing but fields and distant trees. He sighed and popped the hood, his fingers tracing over familiar parts, but the problem wasn't obvious. No smoke, no leaks, just an engine that refused to start. Keanu pulled out his phone, no signal. Great. He sat back against the driver's seat, taking a deep breath. Out here, far from the city, help wasn't just a phone call away. A car drove past slowly, the driver giving a quick glance, but not stopping. Keanu waved politely, but the vehicle kept going. That was, until the engine sputtered, coughed, and then fell silent. Keanu glanced at the dashboard. No warning lights, just dead silence. The car coasted to a stop on the shoulder of a quiet country road, surrounded by nothing but fields and distant trees. He sighed and popped the hood, his fingers tracing over familiar parts, but the problem wasn't obvious. No smoke, no leaks, just an engine that refused to start. Keanu pulled out his phone, no signal. Great. He sat back against the driver's seat, taking a deep breath. Out here, far from the city, help wasn't just a phone call away. A car drove past slowly, the driver giving a quick glance, but not stopping. Keanu waved politely, but the vehicle kept going. After a few more minutes, he spotted a dirt road leading into a nearby farmhouse. Maybe someone there could help. He grabbed his jacket and started walking, the sun warming his back but a knot of uncertainty tightening in his stomach. The farmhouse was quaint, surrounded by a white picket fence and a vegetable garden that looked lovingly tended. A woman was outside, pulling weeds. "Excuse me," Keanu called, trying to sound casual but not too imposing. The woman looked up, surprised to see a stranger. "Can I help you?" "My car broke down a few miles back. I was hoping to see if you might know a mechanic around here or have a phone I could use." She smiled kindly. "I'm Sarah. I don't have a landline, but I can drive you to town. My husband's working on his truck now, but maybe he can help with yours." Keanu nodded gratefully. "That would be great, thanks." In the car on the way to town, Sarah and Keanu made small talk. She told him about living in the area all her life, the changes she'd seen, and how the community pulled together when someone needed help. Keanu felt a strange comfort in the simplicity of her words. Here, people looked out for each other without agendas or expectations. At the local mechanic's garage, Sarah's husband, Tom, took a quick look under the hood. Looks like your fuel pump's shot," Tom said, wiping his hands. "I can replace it, but I'll need a couple of hours and some parts." Keanu nodded, accepting the reality of being stuck. While waiting, Sarah offered to show him around town. They visited a small cafe where locals greeted Keanu warmly, not as a celebrity, but as a fellow community member. Over coffee, Keanu realized how rare it was to feel so unseen, so ordinary, but his quiet day had been interrupted by something as simple and as humbling as a car breakdown. Sometimes, life had a way of reminding you that no matter who you are, you're never too big to need a little help. The aroma of fresh coffee and warm pastries filled the cozy cafe, a stark contrast to the sterile trailers and flashing lights Keanu was used to. Here, the chatter was genuine, the smiles authentic. Keanu sat with Sarah at a corner table by the window, watching the slow rhythm of small-town life unfold. "So, what brings you out this way?" Sarah asked, stirring her tea. Keanu hesitated, then smiled. "Sometimes, you just need to get away from everything. The noise, the expectations. To find a little peace." Sarah nodded knowingly. "I get that. Life can get complicated, even in a place like this." As they talked, a few locals glanced over, whispering and pointing, but no one acted starstruck. Keanu appreciated the anonymity. Suddenly, a young man entered the cafe, wiping grease off his hands. "Hey, Sarah. Got the parts in," he called out. "That must be Tom," Keanu said, standing to greet him. Tom's handshake was firm, his smile straightforward. Back at the garage, Tom worked with practiced efficiency, replacing the fuel pump as Keanu watched, fascinated by the hands-on skill involved. It was a welcome break from the polished world of film sets. While waiting, Tom shared stories of the town's history, of neighbors helping neighbors through hard times, and the pride they took in their work. "It's not glamorous," Tom said, "but it's honest. And sometimes, that's what you need." Keanu felt a connection forming, not just to the people, but to a slower, more grounded way of life. As the sun dipped low, Tom wiped his brow and gave Keanu the keys. "Good as new, but don't push it too hard." Grateful, Keanu offered to pay, but Tom shook his head. "Consider it a neighborly favor." Driving back toward the farmhouse, Keanu looked out at the sprawling fields bathed in golden light. He thought about how easily he could have stayed isolated in his Hollywood bubble, missing out on moments like this. That night, as he settled into a modest motel, Keanu reflected on the day's unexpected detour. A car breakdown was just an inconvenience to some, but to him, it was a reminder of the kindness that exists beyond fame and fortune. Sometimes, it takes a little trouble to find the simple truth that we're all connected by moments of help and humanity. The next morning, Keanu woke to the gentle hum of birds outside his motel window. He felt a renewed sense of calm, something he hadn't realized he was missing in his hectic life. After breakfast at the diner down the street, Keanu prepared to hit the road again. Before leaving, he called Sarah to thank her once more. "Thanks for everything," he said. "You and Tom really went out of your way." Sarah's voice was warm. "That's what neighbors do. Drive safe, Keanu." With the repaired car humming smoothly, Keanu set off down the winding country roads, the morning sun casting long shadows over the landscape. As he drove, his thoughts wandered back to the people he'd met, their kindness, their stories, and the way life here seemed slower, more intentional. But as he rounded a bend, the car shuddered again, and the engine sputtered violently. Panic rose, but Keanu pulled over safely this time. He popped the hood, frustration simmering. Clearly, the fuel pump fix hadn't solved everything. With no signal again, Keanu sighed and leaned against the car. The feeling of vulnerability was familiar now, but this time, instead of anxiety, there was patience. After a few minutes, a pickup truck pulled up, dust trailing behind it. The driver, a middle-aged man with a friendly face, stepped out. "Need some help?" the man asked. Keanu smiled, grateful. "Yeah, I'm having car trouble." The man introduced himself as Joe, a mechanic who sometimes roamed the countryside, helping stranded travelers. Together, they inspected the engine. Joe shook his head thoughtfully. "Looks like your alternator's shot. I can get you a tow to my shop if you want." Keanu nodded. "That'd be great." While waiting for the tow truck, Keanu and Joe talked about life on the road, the ups and downs of being far from home, and the unexpected kindness strangers show. Keanu realized how much he had taken those moments for granted, caught in the whirlwind of fame and work. At Joe's garage, the repair was quick, but Joe refused payment, saying, "Just pay it forward." The experience left Keanu with a simple truth. Sometimes, life's detours lead you exactly where you need to be. With his car finally running smoothly, Keanu thanked Joe warmly and prepared to leave the garage. But before he could start the engine, Joe's phone rang. "Hey, Mike, yeah. Just finished up with a guy stranded on Route 47. Real nice fellow," Joe said into the phone. Keanu smiled, intrigued by the ease with which Joe talked about strangers. After the call, Joe turned to Keanu. "You know, not many folks out here get the chance to slow down and really connect with people. Life's fast, even in small towns." Keanu nodded thoughtfully. "That's true. Sometimes I feel like I'm always rushing, chasing the next thing." Joe laughed. "You're not alone. Most of us do." Before leaving, Joe invited Keanu to join the town's Friday night gathering, a casual meet-up at the community hall where locals shared stories, music, and food. "I think you'd like it," Joe said. Keanu accepted, intrigued by the chance to experience more of this world outside the spotlight. That evening, the community hall buzzed with warmth. People from all walks of life gathered, laughing and sharing stories over homemade dishes. Keanu was welcomed with open arms, not as a star, but as a neighbor. He listened to tales of hard work, family struggles, and small victories. He shared a few stories of his own, careful to keep the focus on shared human experiences rather than fame. By the night's end, Keanu felt a profound sense of belonging. He realized the car breakdown had become more than just a mechanical failure. It had become a journey into connection, humility, and rediscovery. As he drove away the next morning, the road no longer felt lonely. It felt full of promise, friendships, and the quiet strength of everyday kindness. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the winding road as Keanu pulled out of town, his car humming steadily beneath him. The challenges of the past few days, the breakdowns, the stranger's kindness, the unexpected friendships, had left a deep impression. He thought about Sarah and Tom, their quiet generosity, Joe's willingness to help a stranger without hesitation, and the welcoming community that embraced him not as a celebrity, but as a fellow traveler on life's unpredictable journey. Driving past fields and forests, Keanu felt a sense of gratitude for the detours, the ones that had slowed him down just enough to see the world differently. Sometimes life doesn't go as planned. Sometimes it's the unexpected stops that teach us the most. As the highway stretched ahead, Keanu smiled to himself. Wherever the road led next, he knew he wouldn't be alone. Because sometimes the greatest journeys aren't about the destination. They're about the people you meet along the way. And with that thought, Keanu turned up the radio, the familiar music filling the car, the open road beckoning him forward.